Hi guys. So it's been on my heart to make a video about something that happened to me. About 17 days ago on June 23rd, I got a phone call that no mother ever wants to get, and it was a phone call from a police officer telling me that my son had been in an accident and that I needed to get to the hospital. And I was by myself because I was house sitting and dog sitting about a mile away from my house. And so I was literally putting on my clothes and still talking to the police officer, who kept asking me if I was okay to drive, and, you know, as if anything was going to stop me from getting to my son. And I kept asking him, is he okay, is he okay? And he wouldn't tell me. And I got in my car, I called my wife, and I told her to meet me at this local hospital. And then it was as if angels were carrying me to the hospital, which was, I don't know, 5 miles away from where I was, 6 miles away maybe. So I got to the hospital, I parked my car. I actually have my son's car with me because that day we had purchased a new car for my wife, because about 2 weeks before that, her car had broken down, and that day we bought her a new car. So I had talked to Joshua that day, and my wife had him working at her restaurant that evening. And so I just went to the hospital. I got there. I remember going through the metal detector. You know, they're at all the hospitals now, right? And I got to the front desk and I just screamed, you know, my son Joshua Walsh is here. My son Joshua Walsh is here. Let me back, let me back, let me back. And I just stood there by the doors, because I went from that desk to the doors, and I just stood there and I said, let me back, let me back, let me back. I need to get to my son. And I don't know, there was some ray of hope in my heart, because it didn't make sense that he was at this particular hospital, because it went past another hospital from the area that he was coming from. So it just, none of it made sense to me. So I kept on thinking, please just let him have a broken leg. Please just let him have a fucking broken leg. And so they came out and they said that they asked if anyone was with me, which was of course a bad sign, and I knew it in my heart. And I said that my wife was on the way, and they said that they were going to bring me back and the doctor was going to come and talk to me. Again, something that I felt was a bad sign, but I never gave up hope, you know. And they asked that I come into a room, and then I remember 2 women being there. I think they identified themselves as being a social worker and a nurse or something. And then what looked like a male nurse or maybe a physician came in, and then someone came in that said that he was a trauma surgeon, and he said, I'm so sorry, but we tried everything and your son's heart stopped beating. Your son's heart stopped beating and he's dead. And I just dropped to my knees and I screamed. I made sounds that I didn't even realize my body could make. Just these loud, visceral screams, wails. And I just screamed, no, no. And I felt like I could be in some type of a nightmare, but I wasn't sure. I didn't know what was going on, and I remember being on my knees and pounding on the chair in the waiting room as they gave me details that I don't even, I don't even remember. It was they kept on asking me, like, is your wife coming? And I said, yes, my wife is coming. Yes, my wife is coming, and bring her back. This is Joshua, and I think right now I'll just show you some pictures of him because he's really fucking beautiful. Joshua was 31 years old, 31 years, 11 months, and 25 days old. On June the 30th, he would have turned 32 years old. And we were going to have a beautiful fish dinner at Luke Woolley's for him. Instead, I was having his funeral. So I'm going to show you some pictures of him right now, and to give me a little bit of a break too, and because I don't want to cry. I've cried a lot. So this is Josh. He was beautiful and handsome and smart and accomplished and brilliant and a good son and funny and warm, and he gave really good hugs. Everyone talks about their children like they're the second coming of Christ, and something I've learned over the last 17 days is that my son literally might have been that, and that I wasn't the only person that was completely enamored by Joshua William Walsh. In those moments before my wife got there, I just kept saying no, 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 no. They told me that they believed he wasn't wearing a seatbelt, and that there were some indications that he might have hydroplaned. It was a very wet night. And they said that he was ejected from the vehicle. He was driving a 2008 Chevy Silverado. And they told me, once my wife got there, that I probably didn't want to see him, and that I probably didn't want his clothes. And that's one of the biggest mistakes that I could have made, because I should have seen him and I should have taken his clothes. My son's blood is mine. But you don't really think in moments like that. You think a lot about those moments afterwards. My wife got there, and of course I had to tell her that her stepson, my son, Joshua Walsh, was dead. And she screamed those same type of visceral screams that I screamed. And we hugged and cried. And then my son's roommate and his girlfriend, not my son's girlfriend, my son didn't have a girlfriend, but my son's roommate and his girlfriend, Robbie and Chelsea, came there. And we moved to a different part of the waiting room. And then my best friend, Melanie, and her husband, Britton, came there. And it just gets more and more blurry from there. You know? But we immediately ask about his necklace. this necklace. You can see it right there. This is a picture taken on St. Patrick's Day. I think you can see it. And right now, I'll go ahead and post some close-up pictures of that necklace, as well as an artist rendition of it. So the hospital said that they did not have the necklace. Or maybe we didn't ask for it. I have to be honest with you, I don't recall in that moment. But this is what I do know. My son's necklace was extremely important to him. That necklace I actually wore in my 20s. And he asked to wear it when he was about 20. And I said, sure. If, you know, if God wants you to wear that necklace, if you want to wear that necklace, that cross, whether for religious symbology or whatever, you can wear it. And he did. And a Celtic cross, excuse me, represents Irish religion and the Trinity and so many different things. But Joshua was very proud of his Irish history and family and traditions, and very much so. Unfortunately, he never got to go to Ireland, and I've never been to Ireland, but I hope to go someday and bring him with me. So the necklace is missing, and that's one point of me doing this video, because I think that the necklace could potentially be out there. My son got in an accident on a road here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, called 376 East, the Parkway East, near the Swissvale exit. There's still pink spray paint along the road where the accident was, so I have to drive by it practically every day. At first, my wife tried to go around it, and it was just impossible, and I said, we can't live like this. We have to go past it. Joshua's not there. Joshua's here. And we can't live like this, driving around and trying to avoid things. So she drove me past it, and then one day I drove past it, and then one day I got out of my car there, and I walked along there, and I looked for the necklace because it could have gotten cut off by the first responders. None of the first responders say that they remember seeing him with it. So we asked the hospital, we asked the coroner's office who took his body after that, we asked the funeral director who we went to the next day. I'm blessed to have a good friend in my life who is a funeral director. She doesn't operate out of a funeral home, but she knew someone that did, and she put me in touch with someone who was very caring. And, you know, during a time like this, an unimaginable, painful time, having someone that you trust care for your child is important. Did I mention that Joshua was my only child? Joshua was and always will be my only child. Always. You know, there's part of me that is almost comforted by the fact that I don't have to console other children. You think about stuff like that whenever you go through something like this, you know? But I do, you know, because there's all his friends, and they've started calling me mom. Some of them called me mom before, and I love that. I have to say, I do love it. I look like crap, don't I? I do. I do. I look tired. I am tired. So Joshua was my only child, and he lived on this earth 31 years, 11 months, and 25 days. And he was hardworking and dedicated, and he was special. His necklace is missing. I don't want to confuse you by showing you this necklace, so I'll keep that in here for a minute. But his necklace was a Celtic cross. It's missing. I immediately went into Mama Bear mode and tried to find anyone, any first responder, anyone that could find the necklace. So it was shared so much on social media, and I want to share it on here too, because that necklace, and I don't even care about the frigging chain, I care about the cross that probably cost me $30 30 years ago. But I pushed it on social media so much, it got shared almost 5,000 times, and the local news channel picked it up, and it was agonizing. The morning of Joshua's funeral, so it was 2 days. The first day was Joshua's viewing, and there were two parts. There was a morning viewing and an evening viewing, and they told me that it was possible because the hospital had made it seem like he couldn't be seen, or that it would disturb me in some way. And as I came to find out, once Joshua was with the funeral home, he only had a few abrasions on his face, and they were covered up with the embalming and that whole process. And I was able to see my son. And I feel blessed that I was able to spend some time with my son. So we brought to the funeral home a suit. Surprised to see that my son had 5 suits. And so we picked out a suit that he had worn recently. And then we also picked out a pair of jeans and a white men's undershirt that he wore those all the time. You'll probably see in some of the pictures him wearing that. He was just, you know, always in t-shirts, but he did dress professionally for work, but he worked from home a lot, and he made his own schedule, and he would go into the gym, and so he was usually in athletic wear or, you know, casual. And but when he would go to work, he would look very nice and professional, and when he was meeting with a client or something. And so he we brought him, and he ended up being laid out in his Pirates cap and a white t-shirt and a pair of jeans, and then he also had a Joseph Banks button-up collar blue shirt that was really lovely that I had purchased for him. And I was able to see him, and he was beautiful. And I got to sing lullabies to him, and I got to hold his head, and I got to keep his hand warm, and I got to kiss his lips, and I got to touch his beautiful arms. And my son was very built, and he had beautiful tattoos and a full sleeve. And a friend of mine, I asked the funeral director for 2 things. I asked her to photograph all of his tattoos as much as possible, and a friend of mine, my friends have been incredible and amazing. A friend of mine is having an artist friend of hers do something with the tattoos so that I can keep them forever. And the funeral director, after the funeral was over, Joshua had a beautiful beard, and Joshua used to come over, and I would, you know, trim his beard, and I would take out any little like white or red hairs, and I got to touch his beard and tell him how beautiful it was. And he had just perfected it, you know. He perfected his beard. It was just beautiful. I was so proud of it. And I just can't wait to see him again. And I know I'm going to see him again in heaven. I know I am. Joshua and I had a great faith together, and we would go to church, and so I know where I will see my son again. It's in heaven. And I know where he is. He's in paradise. He's in heaven with my mom and my dad and other family members, and a friend of his, Henry, that died when he was 19. And, you know, I will see my son again, but not until my time. I've promised a lot of people I will not hurt myself. I will not allow my son's time on earth to be in vain. I will not let one day of his 31 years, 11 months, and 25 days to be in vain. The thing that Joshua would most not want is for my life to be destroyed, and I will not destroy my life or hurt myself. These belong to Josh, so it's just the Live Strong and this black band, and so it gives me comfort to have them on, because every time I see a picture of him, he has them on. But I really do want that necklace. I do have, he had this on his rearview mirror. I had given this, I bought it for his birthday, his upcoming 32nd birthday. It's from the book of Joshua, and it's a beautiful Bible quote. He said, I'm not going to wear it, I'm going to put it on because he wears his cross. And he said that he was going to put it on his rearview mirror, and that's where it was found. I had a man contact me that held Joshua's hand as he lay on the highway, waiting for first responders. And he said that he was still breathing. Those things are really hard to hear, but important to hear. I'm going to share the story about the necklace that got featured on the news right now, and then I'll come back.
Never a fee unless we get money for you.
My son Joshua is gone, and he is in heaven, and he's never coming back.
The pain is still so fresh tonight, hours after this mother laid her only son to rest. No one can fill the hole his death has left in her heart.
But tonight she is pleading for someone to return a family heirloom to its rightful place around her neck.
I can't get him back.
Sally Walsh clutches the framed photo montage of her only son.
It means so much to me.
In every picture, her Joshua is wearing a special cross, a gift from his mom.
It's a cross that I wore for many years, and then I gave to him, and he wore it for at least 15 years.
Joshua was killed Saturday in his crash on the Parkway East near the Edgewood Swissvale exit. Sally now on a mission to find the priceless cross that went missing from his neck.
We can't find it in his home. It was not at the hospital.
It may have broken off in a violent crash.
It was not at the morgue. It was not at the funeral home. It was nowhere.
Or was cut off during his resuscitation attempt. She's hoping someone knows where it is.
It would mean me having Joshua back in my heart, in my soul, having that there. It would mean everything to me.
Something tangible to hold close.
I will never be able to feel his arms around me again, but if I could have that necklace and I could feel it around my neck, it would be as if Joshua was with me.
She says the cross represents their shared Irish heritage and their faith in God. That's why she's so hopeful she'll get it back.
As if it was Joshua's final act to get that necklace to come to me.
And that is the hope tonight. The Joshua Walsh GoFundMe memorial account has been established. You can find details on our WTAP mobile app. But more importantly, Sally says what's most critical for her is that priceless cross. She hopes she will get back.
So yeah, I mean, that's the story of the necklace, and if anyone can share it, search for me on Facebook, friend me on Facebook, Sally Lockwood Walsh. I'm open to the public now. I used to be private, but if there's anything I could do to help my son find, if there's anything I could do to help my son get that necklace back to me, because I know he wants it back in my hand. He wants me to have that piece of him, but maybe he's waiting to get it to me someday whenever I really need it. I don't know. I don't know why I don't have it yet, but I want it back. But if any of you would like to pray for the necklace or anything like that, I would appreciate it. There is a GoFundMe page because my son did not have life insurance because he was 31 and he was a contract employee, so he didn't have health insurance, and I have no idea what the expenses are going to be for to cover his funeral and everything else. I mean, I know how much the funeral cost, so there is a GoFundMe page, and I'll list it below. Also, link to the news story where they are talking about his lost necklace, if that would help anybody. I'm here to talk to anybody. If you relate to this story and you need to talk to someone, if you've lost a child and you'd like to reach out to me, I would be more than happy to talk to you. And I'll let you guys know how things keep going. Those people that follow my weight loss channel, as you can see, I've lost a lot of weight. I've lost over 100 pounds at this point. And part of the reason why I was losing this weight was for Joshua. And I am going to meet his expectations and continue to lose another 40 to 60 pounds. And I'm going to exceed his expectations and be stronger and harder. And I'm going to have a passion for life, because I'm not going to let my son's fucking life be a waste. I'm not. I'm not going to sit in a corner crying. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to fight. I'm going to have a scholarship fund in his name. And we're going to have a scholarship fund to train pit bulls from an organization called Proper Pit Bull. I'm going to take care of my fucking son. I will not let any of his things be destroyed or damaged or taken away. I will protect everything that he cultivated, everything that he earned. Because that's what mothers are do. That's what mothers are supposed to do. Okay, I love you guys. I will leave you with some more pictures of Josh. If anyone wants to talk, let me know. I love you. And seriously, find me on Facebook at Sally_Walsh. Find me at The Sally Style or that's at Instagram. I'll put all the links below. I love you guys. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.